Silence is more unusual stuff than we realise, partly because we don't get much of it these days. There are two kinds of silence. There's the silence of an embarrassed silence in a lift with strangers, where we're just longing for this lift journey to come to an end and somebody to say something. And then there's the beautiful silence that we find at the top of a mountain, when the last thing we want is somebody to start speaking and chatting about things. We just want to sit there and absorb the beauty and the silence of the mountaintop. Now, one of the problems is trying to find silence like that in day-to-day life, especially in the city where there's so much noise. So there are some ways of finding that silence, and the best place to start is inside yourself. Now, silence involves discipline. Obviously, you have to make a choice not to speak and not to fill your head with earphones that have got noise coming through them. But once you've accepted that discipline, then there is a further choice to be made, which is to use that silence creatively by going more deeply into your soul, because silence is the gateway to your soul. And that soul journey can be really rewarding and fulfilling. So I hope that you'll take time to respond to that invitation to use the silence not simply as discipline, but also as a gateway to your soul. So at some point during your 24 hours or however long you're doing for the sponsored silence, you might like to set aside a period of time to enter more deeply into your soul and into a time of meditation. And this should be any time you like, really, between a minimum 5 minutes and a maximum 30 minutes. Those are good time periods during which you could do this. So it's up to you to choose some time like that. In other words, it's a period that's relatively short but quite intense. Now, there are many ways of finding silence inside ourselves. And the good thing is there are ways of doing this and traditions of doing this that are very ancient. And so we can know that we've got something to support us when we're trying to do this. The first way, of course, is a very simple one, which is to read. We read silently to ourselves. So if we find some absorbing sacred text, which may be the Bible, or it may be a poem, or maybe the writings of some saint, just to read those slowly in the silence is one of the most engaging ways to spend time in silence. The trick is not to read as if it was a novel, you know, as a page turner. This is the opposite of having a page turner. It's slow reading rather than rapid reading. And that helps us to slow down and enter into the silence. A second way of doing this is to breathe and to make the whole body slow down, just using some physical techniques, which we can look at in a moment. But the whole purpose is to arrive at a point where there is silence inside my head. And of course, one of the hardest things to do is to stop the voices inside my head from having a constant conversation. As somebody once said to me, it's as if I've got a feature film permanently running inside my head. So Danny, you're going to work with me now to do one of these exercises which can be really helpful during a time of silence. And this exercise is a very simple breathing and relaxing exercise. Now, you're sitting there looking quite comfortable and relaxed, but actually, if we just look at the way you're sitting there, you've got quite a lot of tension in your body. And if you try and hold that pose for a long period of time, you'll find you can't really do it because you get really tense and you want to shift and move around. So one of the aims is to get your body to a position where actually you're able to be still for a long period of time without fidgeting around. So if we look, first of all, Danny's got his arms crossed and his legs crossed. And the first thing you have to do is uncross all your limbs. So would you like to do that? And then what to do with your hands is, of course, a big question. And the answer is just place them on your lap like this, just like that. That's it. And then sit up. And one of the interesting things is the back. If your back is crooked, then actually you will tend to fall asleep. And so what you need to do is keep a straight back and pull your shoulders back a bit. That's it. Because that way you're going to be attentive. So what you've got to imagine is that a very important person has got a very important message to give you. So you need to be relaxed and comfortable, but attentive at the same time. So there's still probably some tension left in your body there. And one of the best ways to get the tension out of your body is to breathe very deeply, but just at the natural speed. You'd like to just breathe in and out at the natural speed, but deeply. And breathe in through your nose and out through your mouth. And that now starts to relax the whole body. Now, just breathe normally now, but quite deeply, but just a sort of more normal way. Now your body's relaxed. The next challenge is to get your mind to relax. Because your mind probably now is flitting in all directions, thinking about what you might do when this is over, what you've been doing recently, and so on. And you need to just let all that go. And one of the ways to do that is by listening to your breathing. So now just take your mind off everything and just listen to the breathing. But even so, you still can be distracted by all sorts of sounds coming from outside. It's very hard to find somewhere that's totally silent. So just take a simple phrase to keep your mind focused. And the simple phrase can be a phrase from the Psalms, for example, a phrase, "Be still and know that I am God." Be still and know that I am God. And you can just say the first part of that phrase as you breathe in, be still, and then know that I'm God as you breathe out. And as you're doing that, you're aware of your breathing. You've got that simple phrase to keep your mind focused. Because the amazing thing about your breathing is that the day your breathing stops, you'll be dead. So you're actually concentrating on the breath of your own life. And the other amazing thing about that breath is that that breath is also the breath of God, the life-giving spirit that's within you. Be still, just to be still to know that you're alive, and know that I am God, to know that God's Spirit is the breath within you. And you can enter into this state of being quite easily wherever you are, even when there's noise around you, because you can find that still point within your own body and soul. And at that point, God may have something to say to you. So we can keep this up for as long as we like, for 5 minutes, 15 minutes, 30 minutes. And not be afraid when the time seems right to speak your own words to God and to let God speak his own words to you. Thank you.